is the true story of my mother and grandmother told through the eyes of a daughter. It is a family Caribbean legacy, cane and cotton, the legacy of a Cruzan woman, Marilyn's story in the heart of St. Croix, where the sea kissed the shores and the sugarcane swayed like golden waves. A girl named Marilyn was born into a life of simplicity, unaware that fate had once written her story in wealth. Her father, a charming salesman from Barbados, who seems to have arrived with a tide carrying promises wrapped in exotic silks and words sweeter than cane syrup. He had been the love of her mother's life. Their time together had been built, not on riches, but on the hope of a lifetime spent in love and devotion. He had never spoken of his wealth, never revealed the empire he had quietly built on the island, and beyond the shores of their small island. To Anna Maria, Marilyn's mother, life with him was about the love they had and the promises they made in their long-standing relationship. It was truly about loving him. He left on a trip one day as he had done so many times before, but this time he did not make it back. So though their love had not endured, Marilyn was a gift left behind, a reminder of a dream that could have been. It was a time when life went on as news was slow in coming. Then one day, a letter arrived in the hands of an old lawyer from Christiansted. He had a stately, stiff demeanor but soft in words, and carried news for Marilyn and Anna. As the old lawyer read the letter, it said Marilyn had inherited her father's fortune, a fortune that could lift her beyond the fields, beyond struggle, beyond need. But was she of age to make this decision? And would it be accepted? A mother's heart, a daughter's fate. Marilyn was still a child, too young under British law to make such a decision for herself. And so, her mother had to choose for her, and so she did, thus rejecting the wealth of the man she had once loved, believing that her daughter's past should not be paved with the remnants of a life that had never fully been realized. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was heartbreak, or maybe it was a deep, unwavering belief that true strength is not given, but earned. With that choice, Marilyn's life took a different turn. One of the wealthiest little girls of her time would never taste the luxury that had been offered to her. Instead, she lived a life of struggle, hardship, and relentless work. But she never resented it. Marilyn understood something profound. It was never the money she longed for, it was the love behind it. The simple fact that someone had loved her enough to leave her everything was all she needed. That knowledge alone fueled her spirit as she stepped into the world, not with bitterness, but with an unshakable resolve. She carried a secret smile, one known only to her mother and herself. A silent, powerful reminder that she was love cherished, that she was worth more than gold. And so, with that quiet strength, she walked into each day determined to build something of her own. The weight of responsibility left school to help her mother and family even as her mother objected. Marilyn knew what it would take to help her mom and family, and knowing her own strengths and determination, she did what only the men at that time were doing. She took to life in the fields even though that life was unforgiving. Marilyn faced it with grace, strength, courage, and forged respect from the men and the locals on St. Croix. She worked tirelessly to keep her 14 brothers and sisters fed, clothed, and cared for, standing beside her mother as they fought, hand in hand, to move their family forward. As life changed, Marilyn went from cotton to sugarcane to hiring herself out for domestic care services as she also took in laundry as a laundress and made clothing freehand for women as a seamstress. She labored not just for survival, but for fairness, for love, for the unbreakable bond between a mother and a daughter who carried the weight of an entire family on their shoulders. The years passed, and Marilyn was offered a prominent position. To leave St. Croix to live and work while getting an education in the United States of America, but she once again made the decision that her sister Cynthia would go in her place. Marilyn convinced this wealthy American family that her sister was just as good as she was, and the deal was set. As Cynthia, one of her sisters, left for New York, Marilyn, still fierce in spirit, kept doing what she knew was best and right for the family. Then one day something unexpected happened. A young local man named Edmund had returned to the islands after serving in a special war unit in Korea for the USA, and unexpectedly Marilyn had found a love of her own. She was never sure if it was him, his charming bravado, his confidence, or his uniform. Maybe, she thought it was a little bit of each, and they married, and together with her husband, they raised 9 living, never boring children. Through ups, downs, and growing pains of life they did their best. Though she had once been denied a life of ease, she built something even greater, a home filled with love, faith, protection, sacrifice, respect, discipline, and God's wisdom. More than she ever imagined, Marilyn was a force to be reckoned with, a fierce woman, unwavering in her values, strong in will and discipline, but deeply rooted in God, love, faith, and respect. She was unrelenting in her expectations, yet boundless in her love. The hands that once cut by and calloused from picking cotton and chopping cane became the hands that loved, fed, clothed, sacrificed, and nurtured her children, her family, and friends that God put in her path. Though she had once been the girl with a secret fortune of land and money, she became the woman who built a legacy and won by the will of God. Her children grew to be more than she had ever dreamed, rising beyond what she had once thought possible. And though she never touched the wealth left for her, she created something far greater: generations of strength, honor, respect, care, love, faith, and one of God. And in the quiet moments, when the world sits still and memories surfaced, she would smile, that same sweet secret smile, the one that held the story of a love once lost, a life reimagined, and a woman who chose to trust God to forge her destiny out of nothing. And thus she became richer than she'd ever imagined. The family proverb handed down is, "Not all wealth is measured in coins, and not all money is good money." So to all the real Cruzan women in St. Croix and the Virgin Islands, and those scattered throughout the world, we say thank you. Thank you for being the people God made you to be. And for those listening, watching, and subscribing, thank you. And please remember to follow my mother and me channel on YouTube as we bring you more true stories of moms as they do real life for their gift of their children. And may God's love and strength be with you all.